Dear Destined One, have you ever had such a question? Buddhism always emphasizes letting go of desires, yet practitioners vow to attain Buddhahood. Is this apparent contradiction truly a paradox, or does it conceal profound wisdom? Throughout history, countless practitioners have felt perplexed by this question. Buddhist scriptures teach us that desire is the root of suffering, and attachment to all worldly things will ultimately lead to endless troubles. However, without the aspiration to attain Buddhahood, how can one embark on the path to liberation? Behind this seemingly paradoxical guidance lies the profound wisdom cipher left to us by the Buddha. Today, we will together unveil the veil of this cultivation mystery. I will begin by examining the nature of desire and the uniqueness of the Bodhisattva, exploring the seemingly opposing yet fundamentally unified relationship between the two through the interpretation of emptiness and the foundation of compassion. We will understand why letting go does not mean not seeking, and how to realize the transformation from desire to cessation of desire in spiritual practice. If you have been troubled by this question or encountered similar contradictions in your practice, please believe that this is not accidental. Your encounter with this explanation is precisely a convergence of karmic conditions. Buddhism holds that the opportunity to hear the true Dharma is exceedingly rare, occurring once in 1,000 years. If this subject resonates with your heart, please write Namo Amichuofo in the comment section. Let me know how many fellow practitioners are contemplating the same question. Let us explore together this seemingly paradoxical topic that actually contains supreme wisdom, unveiling the truths hidden behind ancient scriptures, finding the subtle balance between desire and pursuit, and discovering the hidden path to true liberation. In this noisy and chaotic world, desire is like an invisible net, tightly entangling our minds. When the Buddha elucidated the Dharma, he clearly pointed out that attachment is suffering, the root cause of intense suffering. This is not merely a religious doctrine, but a profound insight directly into the human mind. When we deeply observe our own mind, we find how desires quietly arise and how they give rise to endless suffering. The desire for a bigger house causes us to worry day and night over the mortgage. The expectation of seeking a perfect partner will cause us to experience continuous disappointment in relationships. The craving for others' approval can cause us to lose our true self and live according to others' perspectives. Desire promises to bring us happiness, yet often leaves emptiness after fulfillment, giving rise to new cravings that entangle us in an endless cycle of dissatisfaction. The Buddhist scripture Samyukta Agama states, "It is like drinking seawater to quench thirst. The desire is like that cup of salty water, seemingly able to relieve thirst but only causing an even stronger thirst." These are the three poisons of greed, hatred, and delusion as taught by the Buddha. They're like poisons that corrode our minds, causing us to suffer in the cycle of samsara, forever unable to attain true peace. However, while the Buddha teaches us to let go of desire, practitioners are encouraged to arouse the Bodhisattva, aspiring to attain Buddhahood and liberate sentient beings. Isn't this just another form of desire? Isn't it merely replacing one desire with another? On the surface, this indeed appears to be a perplexing paradox. However, when we deeply understand the nature of Bodhisattva, we realize that it is fundamentally different from worldly desires. Bodhisattva is not merely the simple thought of wanting to achieve Buddhahood, but a noble aspiration arising from compassion and endowed with wisdom. In the Avatamsaka Sutra, Bodhisattva is described as the seed of all Buddhas and the mother of all Bodhisattvas. It is a vast faith that transcends personal gains and losses. The distinctiveness of the Bodhisattva primarily lies in its motivation. Worldly desires often stem from self-centered cravings, taking the self as the starting point, seeking my satisfaction and my happiness. Bodhisattva is fundamentally centered on benefiting others. As stated in the Entering the Path text, due to diligence in benefiting sentient beings, one aspires to attain the supreme and perfect enlightenment. Its core is not to satisfy the self, but to genuinely help all sentient beings escape the sea of suffering. Secondly, the uniqueness of the Bodhisattva also lies in its objective. Objects of worldly desires are often transient and external, subject to change, whereas Bodhisattva aspires to an inner state of awakening, a thorough realization of the ultimate truth. It is not about chasing outwardly, but about inward awareness. Finally, the uniqueness of Bodhisattva is also reflected in its mode of practice. Worldly desires are usually accompanied by attachment and clinging, whereas the practice of Bodhisattva is a practice of non-grasping. As stated in the Diamond Sutra, one generates the mind without attachment. It does not cling to the appearance of Buddhahood nor covet the merits of practice, but progresses by letting go. It is precisely these qualities that create a sharp contrast between Bodhisattva and ordinary desires. On the surface, both are a form of desire, but their meanings are fundamentally different. This difference is precisely the first key to understanding the seemingly contradictory phenomenon of relinquishing desires while aspiring to attain Buddhahood. But this is only the beginning. To truly grasp this apparent paradox, we need to further explore the profound meanings of emptiness and compassion and how they constitute the foundation of Bodhisattva. To truly understand the fundamental difference between Bodhisattva and worldly desires, we must delve into the two core Buddhist concepts, emptiness and compassion. These two are like the wings of a bird. Neither can be lacking, together forming the solid foundation of the Bodhisattva. First, let us explore the wisdom of emptiness. The Huayan scripture states, if one wishes to understand completely, contemplate the nature of the Dharma realm as the unity of the three ones. All Buddhas arise from this view. All phenomena are created by the mind. Emptiness is not nihilism, but the true nature of all dharmas. He told us that all phenomena in the world are devoid of inherent nature. They arise due to the coming together of causes and conditions, and cease when these causes and conditions disperse. Just like a flower, it does not exist independently. It is a composite of countless conditions such as sunlight, rain, soil, and seeds, without an eternal and unchanging floral essence. When we view desire through the wisdom of emptiness, we realize that worldly desires are founded on a fundamental error. He believes that the object of pursuit possesses a real, eternal essence capable of providing lasting satisfaction. We pursue wealth, believing it can bring lasting security. We seek fame, thinking it will grant unchanging respect. We chase sensory pleasures, assuming they will provide continuous happiness. The wisdom of emptiness teaches us that all things are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, and shadows. Nothing is permanent or unchanging, and no attainment can bring ultimate satisfaction. Bodhisattva is founded upon a profound realization of emptiness. Practitioners who generate the Bodhi mind understand that Buddhahood is not about attaining some external object, but about recognizing the Buddha nature inherently present within their own minds. As the Sixth Patriarch's Platform Sutra states, the inherent nature of Bodhi is originally pure, using this very mind to directly attain Buddhahood. The vow to achieve Buddhahood is not about pursuing an external goal, but about returning to the original face of one's true nature. It is precisely this realization of emptiness that enables the Bodhisattva to transcend the narrow confines of the self. It does not cling to the form of attaining Buddhahood, nor covet the merits of practice, nor focus on the outcome. Instead, it emphasizes the process itself. This stands in stark contrast to the intense clinging, attachment, and anticipation characteristic of ordinary desires. Next, let's explore the power of compassion. Compassion is the most authentic quality in Buddhism and is a core principle that complements emptiness. Loving-kindness is the act of giving happiness to all beings, while compassion is the removal of suffering from all beings. True compassion is not pity nor charity. It is sincerely regarding the joys and sufferings of others as one's own. There is a famous historical story about the venerable Chan Master Danxiao of the Tang dynasty, who, in the coldest winter months, burned precious Buddhist statues of the temple to keep warm. When asked why he was so disrespectful, he said it was to retrieve the relics from the Buddha statue. "People say there are no relics," Danxiao replied. "Since there are no relics, bring 2 more statues to burn." This koan, seemingly disrespectful on the surface, is actually a warning against the obsession with worshipping images while neglecting the true spirit of the Dharma. Master Danxiao pointed out in an extreme manner that if a person freezes to death beside a Buddha statue, then what meaning do countless Buddha statues hold? The true Dharma lies in compassionate salvation of the world, not in clinging to external forms. Worldly desires are often self-centered, seeking personal satisfaction and pleasure. Even so-called desires for family are limited in scope to the small circle related to oneself. Bodhisattva is rooted in the intention to benefit all sentient beings, its breadth and depth incomparable to worldly desires. In the chapter on the practices and vows of Samantabhadra, it is said, "When the realm of space is exhausted, when the realm of sentient beings is exhausted, when the karma of sentient beings is exhausted, when the afflictions of sentient beings are exhausted, then my vow will also be fulfilled. Because the realm of space and even sentient beings' afflictions cannot be extinguished, my vow is that within my passing away there shall be no end." This vow is not for oneself, but for the liberation of all sentient beings. When the wisdom of emptiness merges with the compassionate vow, true bodhisattva is formed. This mind neither clings to any form or appearance nor lacks infinite compassion. It rejoices in knowing that all phenomena are like illusions, and it diligently perseveres in benefiting sentient beings. It transcends the limitations of ordinary desire, becoming a wondrous state of mind that neither clings to gain nor suffers loss. It is precisely this bodhisattva, grounded in emptiness and compassion, that makes letting go of desire and making the vow to attain Buddhahood no longer contradictory. In bodhisattva, the pursuit of Buddhahood is not a clinging desire, but a diligent effort free from attachment. It is not for obtaining something, but for better giving. It is not about seeking from outside, but awakening from within. This understanding opens a whole new door for us, allowing us to glimpse the profound wisdom in Buddhism of transformation from defilement to purity. Among the practices of Buddhist cultivation, there is a wisdom known as transforming defilements into purity, which has been particularly developed and applied within the Vajrayana tradition. This teaching informs us that afflictions are not merely enemies to be eliminated, but can be transformed into the merits for enlightenment. As stated in the Mahavajrayana Sutra, afflictions are enlightenment, samsara is nirvana. This is not a mere play on words, but a profound method of practice. The wisdom of esoteric Buddhism lies in its refusal to evade human desires and emotions. Instead, it harnesses them, transforming their energy into the driving force on the path to enlightenment. It is like a martial artist borrowing the enemy's strength to use it, overcoming hardness with softness, and transforming an enemy into a friend. Under this perspective, desire is no longer an obstacle to be abandoned, but a skillfully employed condition of dependent origination. For example, desire, one of the 3 poisons, causes immense suffering, but practitioners of esoteric Buddhism transform the energy of this desire into a fervent longing for the Dharma. Like the waters of a river, which can cause floods or generate electricity and provide illumination, the key lies in how they are guided and utilized. Our usual attachment to delicious food and wealth can be transformed into a craving for truth. Our clinging to worldly achievements can be converted into a longing for the state of awakening. Even the pursuit of sensual pleasures can be transformed into an experience filled with the joy of Dharma. Not only desire, but even anger, which seems to be a purely negative emotion, can be transformed into the determination and strength to eliminate evil. The wrathful deities in Tibetan Buddhism, with their fierce countenances and glaring eyes, symbolize this very transformation. It teaches us that the energy of anger can be transformed into the destruction of ignorance and the subjugation of evil. This transformation is not a simple substitution, but a fundamental change in the nature of energy. Just as firewood transforms into fire and light after burning, although the form changes, the energy is released and utilized at a higher level. The story of the Qing dynasty eminent monk Master Lianqi perfectly illustrates this point. In his youth, he strove for the imperial examinations, aspiring to become a high-ranking official. But after repeatedly failing, he encountered a Chan master. The Zen master asked him, "What is your aspiration in becoming an official?" Lianqi responded, "For the glory of the ancestors and the benefit of the people." The Zen master smiled. If one truly wishes to honor their ancestors and benefit all sentient beings, there's a path more direct than becoming an official. These words deeply touched Lianqi's heart. He later ordained as a monk, transforming his attachment to fame and fortune into a pursuit of the Dharma, converting his desire for worldly achievements into compassion for all sentient beings, ultimately becoming a highly respected and influential eminent monk. Master Lianqi's transformation teaches us that desire itself is not the problem. The issue lies in the direction to which desire is aimed. When desire shifts from self-gratification to altruistic compassion, from fleeting pleasure to eternal truth, it transforms from a bond into a means of liberation. The story of the Venerable Milarepa is also a classic example. In his early years, he studied black magic out of hatred and caused the deaths of many people. Later, upon encountering the great accomplished Master Marpa, he repented and redirected his intense attachment and perseverance entirely toward the practice of Dharma. He wore a cotton garment and practiced asceticism for many years in a mountain cave, ultimately becoming one of the most revered yogis in the history of Tibetan Buddhism. Milarepa's transformation teaches us that even the most intense negative emotions can be transformed into the driving force for spiritual practice. This transformation is not easy. It requires proper guidance and continuous practice. An actual practice is often realized through the following steps. First, recognize clearly the desires and emotions within your own mind. Do not avoid or suppress them, but confront their existence directly. Secondly, one must understand and comprehend the nature of these desires and emotions, how they arise, the outcomes they lead to, and the essential energy underlying them. The third is transformation, consciously directing these energies toward higher goals, just as water is channeled into irrigation ditches rather than allowed to overflow and cause floods. Finally, there's transcendence. When the transformation is successful, the original attachments and suffering gradually dissolve, leaving only serene awareness and boundless compassion. In this process, the bodhisattva, the vow to attain Buddhahood, is the best instrument for transformation. It is not simply about suppressing desire, but about giving desire a new and broader direction. Just as a small stream ultimately flows into the vast ocean, all desires arising from dependent origination can eventually merge into the boundless ocean of enlightenment. This is why Buddhism teaches both the renunciation of desires and the encouragement to aspire for Buddhahood. These two are not contradictory, but represent different levels and stages on the path of practice. In the initial stage, we need to recognize the harm of desire. In the middle stage, we must learn to transform the energy of desire. In the ultimate stage, we even transcend attachment to enlightenment, achieving true freedom and unobstructed liberation. This wisdom of transforming afflictions into the path reveals to us the third way beyond desire. Neither blindly following it nor rigidly suppressing it, but skillfully transforming it with wisdom. On this path, we are no longer slaves to desire, but its masters. No longer driven by desire, we instead harness it as a valuable tool on the path to enlightenment. However, this is not the end. In the highest realm of practice, even the aspiration to attain Buddhahood must ultimately be transcended. When we delve deeply into the ultimate state of cultivation, we encounter a surprising turning point. The patriarchs of Chan Buddhism teach us that at the highest level of practice, even the thought of becoming a Buddha must be relinquished. This is not a negation of the previously mentioned content, but a further refinement and deepening of the understanding of practice. The sixth patriarch Huaining, in his Platform Sutra, expressed a profound and world-shaking statement. Originally, there is not a single thing. Where can dust alight? This phrase directly points to the fact that our intrinsic nature is fundamentally pure and tranquil, inherently Buddha, but it is merely obscured by the dust of delusive thoughts. From this perspective, cultivation is not about becoming something, but about realizing our original nature. This perspective is vividly illustrated in Chan Buddhist koans. Once, a Zen master asked his disciple, "Why do you practice?" The apprentice replied, "In order to achieve Buddhahood." The Zen master picked up a brick and began grinding it against the stone. The disciple, puzzled, asked, "Master, what are you doing?" The Zen master replied, "I am polishing this brick to make it into a mirror." The disciple said, "How could a brick possibly be polished into a mirror?" The Chan master retorted, "Then how could practice possibly make you a Buddha?" This koan teaches us that attaining Buddhahood is not achieved through external pursuits and accumulation. It is through recognizing the inherent Buddha nature of one's own mind. Zen master Mazu Daoyi once told his disciples, "The mind itself is Buddha," meaning that your own mind is Buddha, and there is no need to seek outside. However, when the disciples began to cling to the concept of mind is Buddha, he said, "Neither mind nor Buddha," breaking the attachments formed in their minds. In the end, he even said, "It is neither mind, nor Buddha, nor any object," completely severing all conceptual attachments. This teaching of the threefold aggregation of consciousness is precisely intended to help practitioners transcend all attachments, including attachment to Buddhahood. Why must even the thought of attaining Buddhahood be let go? Because any attachment, even attachment to the highest state, is still a form of bondage. Just like a climber, if he constantly thinks only about the summit during the ascent, such attachment can actually distract him and increase the danger. A true mountaineer understands that by focusing on each step with full attention, the summit will naturally be reached. Similarly, practitioners who can let go of their attachment to attaining Buddhahood are actually more likely to reach that state. This seemingly paradoxical teaching actually reflects the wisdom of the middle way in Buddhism. Beginners need to have clear goals and direction. Therefore, emphasis is placed on generating the Bodhi resolve and aspiring to attain Buddhahood. However, as practice advances, attachment to these goals can become a new obstacle, so it is necessary to let go of such attachment. This is not a contradiction, but rather different teachings tailored to different stages of practice. Just like learning to swim, beginners need a float board and the guidance of a coach. But once the skill is mastered, these aids actually restrict the freedom and speed of swimming. One must let go of them to truly grasp the essence of swimming. Similarly, in the early stages of practice, we need to rely on the vow to attain Buddhahood to guide our direction. In the intermediate stage, we progress by transforming the energy of desire. At the ultimate stage, we relinquish all attachments, including attachment to Buddhahood itself, attaining a state of having no desires yet lacking nothing. How is this state of realization manifested in the life of a practitioner? There are many historical examples that can be referred to. At the venerable age of 100, Elder Master Shian was still managing countless affairs daily and propagating the Dharma to benefit living beings. However, he never claimed any personal achievements nor clung to any form or sign of practice. When someone asked him about the secret to his practice, he merely smiled and said, "Eating is eating, sleeping is sleeping." This ordinary mind is the very embodiment of the highest practice. Like Ryokan, the Zen master of Japan, he led an extremely simple life, often playing with village children, composing poetry, and painting. Though seemingly idle, he manifested extraordinary wisdom within the ordinary. Once, a thief broke into his hut and found nothing to steal. As he was about to leave, Liang Quan called out to him, saying, "You have come from afar. I cannot let you return empty-handed." After speaking, he took off the only garment he was wearing and gave it to the thief. The thief took the clothes and left in astonishment. Ryokan gazed at the moon and composed a poem. After the thief left, only the bright moon remained. This mind free from attachment is the true freedom that comes from letting go of everything. In this ultimate transcendence, the practitioner is no longer bound by any concepts, including the concept of attaining Buddhahood. They live in the present moment, responding to circumstances with equanimity, having no attachments yet perceiving all, free from thoughts yet knowing all things. This is true liberation, not fleeing the world, but living in it without being tainted by it, not pursuing some special state, but returning to the original pure and tranquil nature. This state is not attained through pursuit, but realized through letting go. It is not achieved by accumulation, but manifested through reduction. It is like carving a statue of the Buddha. It is not about adding something onto the stone, but about removing the excess parts, allowing the Buddha that already exists within to emerge. When we understand this, the contradiction between letting go of desire and making vows to attain Buddhahood completely dissolves. Letting go of desires is not a passive denial, but an active transcendence. Vowing to attain Buddhahood is not about clinging to pursuit, but about the guidance of letting go. Both play their roles at different stages of practice, ultimately pointing to the same goal, returning to the original mind and gradually attaining Buddhahood. In this ultimate transcendence, we find the essence of Buddhist wisdom, neither clinging to worldly desires nor fixating on initial pursuits, but freely progressing on the middle way, attaining true liberation and freedom. Through the exploration of the seemingly contradictory issue of letting go of desires and making vows to attain Buddhahood, we have revealed the profound essence of Buddhist wisdom. This is not merely a theoretical discussion, but also an important insight for our daily lives. On this path of practice, we observe the various levels and transformations of desire and aspiration, from the bondage of worldly desires to the guidance of the Bodhisattva, from the understanding of emptiness and compassion to the method of transforming afflictions into enlightenment, from the initial resolve to attain Buddhahood to the ultimate relinquishment of even that very aspiration. The entire process is like a river, flowing from the mountain streams to the vast rivers of the plains, and finally merging into the boundless ocean. So what insights do these ancient wisdoms offer to modern people? First, they teach us to examine our desires. In this era dominated by consumerism, we are bombarded by countless advertisements and social media, being told that having more leads to greater happiness. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that true contentment does not lie in external things but within the mind. We can ask ourselves whether this desire arises from an inner genuine need or from external inducement. It will bring lasting satisfaction or fleeting stimulation followed by renewed emptiness. Through this kind of reflection, we can gradually reduce blind pursuits and find truly meaningful direction. Secondly, it teaches us to transform the energy of desire. We need not oppose our own nature. Rather, we can guide these energies toward higher objectives. The desire for success can be transformed into the pursuit of inner growth. The need for refuge can be transformed into the motivation to establish genuine connections with others. The pursuit of a sense of security can be transformed into reliance on inner peace. Through this transformation, desire no longer becomes a shackle, but becomes a support. Third, it teaches us to balance pursuit and letting go. In this society that emphasizes goals and achievements, we often become attached to the results, thereby neglecting the value of the process. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that true wisdom lies in fully committing to our pursuits while simultaneously letting go of attachment to the outcomes, focusing entirely on each step in the present moment. This balance allows us to actively engage in the world while maintaining inner peace and ease. Finally, it reminds us to transcend dualistic thinking. In a seemingly contradictory relationship between letting go and pursuing, Buddhism reveals the middle way wisdom that transcends dualistic opposites. This wisdom equally applies to other conflicts we face: individual and collective, tradition and innovation, material and spiritual. True wisdom lies not in choosing one side while rejecting the other, but in discovering a higher dimension that integrates both. In this era full of change and challenges, the wisdom of Buddhism, both actively engaged in the world and transcending attachments, may be more precious than ever before. It is neither a passive escape nor a blind rush, but a way of living that is clear-minded, balanced, and filled with wisdom and compassion. May we embody this wisdom in our daily lives, fully dedicating ourselves to meaningful goals while letting go of attachment and maintaining inner peace. May we enjoy the beauty of the world without being bound by desires. May we benefit others without expecting anything in return. This may be the most precious gift the Buddha has left us, a middle path leading to true freedom and happiness. On this path, every step is a practice, and every moment is an opportunity for awakening. The present moment is the time to